So, hello everyone, and welcome back to STW Sports. I'm host Samuel Wright, joined by Gillingham fan Lewis Browning. Well, Lewis, a season for the Gills ahead, 16th currently in the Sky Bet League One table. What are you thinking about the season?
Hi, Sam. Cheers for having me on. It's a bit of a weird one. I think with Steve Evans at the helm, fans are always sort of optimistic in one way or another. We've had 2 10th place finishes now under his leadership, which is respectable. I think little playoff pushes both years. It was always going to be difficult last year. He had a few gems in the transfer market, really. Jordan Graham came for a year, and I think we're always going to struggle to replace him with our budget and our sort of the facilities we've got. And Conor Ogilvie left Portsmouth as well. We managed to keep hold of Jack Tucker, Kyle Dempsey, Dane Oliver. So we've done okay. I think we've got 20 senior players plus a few youngsters. So we're limited in terms of numbers. It's going to be a tough year in terms of the quality of the teams in the league and what we've got available to us. It's been an up and down start, but we're just getting started.
In terms of the season so far, just the one win in the first 5 games. Are you seeing encouraging signs, though, maybe from the team?
It's been up and down, really. I think a lot of people sort of realised, because of obviously the season starts during the transfer window, we were short on numbers. And against Lincoln on the opening day, Lincoln were a good side last year. We got a decent point. I think we were the better side. I didn't make the trip to Plymouth, but it ended badly, a 1-0 defeat against Wimbledon away. We were second best. We got a late equaliser. We weren't fantastic against Morecambe when we got the win, but we got the win. Morecambe have proved to be a decent side at this level already. I think they'll be okay this season. And then obviously the Shrewsbury game as well, which didn't go to plan, throwing away a lead. So it's been up and down. We managed to get a couple of decent bodies in towards the back end of the window. Dan Adshead, I think, will be a good addition from Norwich on loan, and Charlie Kelman as well from QPR. So I think it's fair to say the season starts now, really. We've not got a game this weekend because of Charlton's international call-ups. So I think the season starts now. We've had a couple of weeks to work at things, and then we'll see what happens when we make the trip to Burton.
9 consecutive seasons now in League One for Gillingham. In terms of the quality of the division, many people say this year might well be the strongest. Are you seeing that the league is improving every season?
Yeah, I think so. I think you see by teams that sort of go up quite a lot of the time, they struggle to stay up. Rotherham United come to mind, really, in terms of they're constantly up and down, and they're impressive in this league, and they're back down again. And it's hard to stay in the Championship. The Championship is almost becoming a second Premier League. And you look at the teams in League One now, Sunderland, Portsmouth, Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham, Wigan have got money now. The list goes on, really. Ipswich are obviously struggling, but we know they've got money, how many signings they made. Charlton. And it is harder. Steve Evans, our manager, has often said how this is the toughest League One he's ever seen. Last year was difficult with the likes of Hull, but then obviously not everyone can go up. So again, we've got Sunderland, we've got Lincoln, we've got Portsmouth, and obviously the teams that came down as well. So it is tough. Steve Evans has come out recently and sort of backed Michael Appleton's comments about spending in League One. It is insane. Gillingham can't afford to match these teams. And, I know it's 11 against 11 and the coaches, etc. But what chance have you got when you can't spend the money that other teams are spending? So it is getting more difficult. But as Evans often says, you've got to find a way to win football matches. So I suppose that would be the plan.
In terms of, Gillingham competing with these teams in League One, how do you think that, the fans being back in the stadium will help that, especially in home games? Obviously, supporters being back's been on everyone's lips recently. How much do you think it's going to benefit Gillingham?
It will, yeah. Gillingham often sort of try to make Priestfield a fortress. It's always a typical, you go to certain grounds where they don't really have a main stand, etc., or behind the goal or whatever. But Gillingham are always sort of, right, we'll shoot towards the Rainier men's second half. Rainier men, that's where the fans are. They'll suck the ball in the goal. The players use that phrase all the time. Last year we did well at home. I think this year as well, our win came at home. The Lincoln game was at home, and I think it's a big plus. Obviously, it swings the other way in terms of going away from home. The likes of Plymouth, and then obviously going away to the places such as the Stadium of Light and Fratton Park, etc. It's a hostile atmosphere. It's a lot harder going away from home than it was last year, but then at the same time at home as well. It's a positive. I was lucky enough to go to some home games last year, and it was completely different. They had fake crowd noise on over the game. You can hear everything, and some goals you see and you think, oh, that'd be great if the Rainier men were there. But yeah, I think it'll be a big plus this year. The attendances have been down. It was sub 4,000 against Morecambe, but that's a different problem. But in terms of the people in the ground, they get behind the team, and it's a big plus having them back in Priestfield, I think.
In terms of promotions and relegations, you've seen a few in your time, I imagine, as a Gillingham fan. Are there any standout promotions out of the two you would have witnessed?
Yeah, the two most recent promotions are absolutely brilliant, to be fair. We had the championship days, which were just a bit before my time, but the first one I witnessed was in 2009. That was 2009, where we won the League Two playoff final against Shrewsbury Town, I was 10, I guess, doing the maths, but I was 10, and I remember sort of Simeon Jackson scoring the header, my dad sort of picking up, throwing me around, last minute thing. That was a brilliant moment at Wembley. As they always say, playoffs, best way to win, worst way to lose. And then the 2013 season under Martin Allen, where the first half of the season we took apart League Two, second half stepped back a bit, but obviously did enough to get promotion ahead of Steve Evans, Rotherham United. That was a great year. Obviously, it was great at the end of the season when we'd won the league and we were promoted and everyone was partying, that sort of thing. And ever since then, it's been a bit stagnated. In terms of the out of the two, I'd probably have to say the 2013 season was probably a more comfortable, enjoyable season. But in terms of the moment, the 2009 promotion was the best moment for promotion.
In terms of a favourite ever Gillingham player, does anyone spring to mind immediately?
It's a weird one, really, because I cover the club now and I get to know the players personally, and I'm sort of getting to know players now. And Dane Oliver's been absolutely brilliant with me. He's got 20 goals last season on the pitch. He's been really nice and off the pitch. So he's definitely up there. Stuart Nelson, the former goalkeeper who was in goal when we won League Two back in 2013. Brilliant player. You've got the likes of John Egan, who obviously went on to play in the Premier League. Bradley Dack, who could have played in the Premier League if it wasn't for injuries. I've been lucky enough to meet many players. A lot of them are great. I like the current crop a lot. Kyle Dempsey's a brilliant captain now. If I had to choose my favourite, it would be for Dane Oliver, just because of the way he's been the last sort of year and a half with me and on the pitch as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do this year too.
I mean, in terms of favourite goal, maybe in terms of quality and in terms of importance, which one stand out for you there?
Well, importance would probably have to be that Simeon Jackson goal, to be honest. It only sort of just went over the line. But yeah, that goal to get promoted in 2009 gave me that brilliant moment with my dad, brilliant moment as a Gillingham fan. The one that always sticks out for me in terms of quality would be Jake Hesenthaler's goal against Coventry. I can't remember the year it was off the top of my head. It was one of our first few years back in League One, when the goalkeeper came out and he sort of put it in from the halfway line as a youngster. We had a couple of good goals at Portsmouth as well. Tom Eaves flicked it over his head and then stuck that in the back of the net. And also Connor Wilkinson's goal under Steve Lovell at Fratton Park as well, when he sort of flicked it over for the defender and curled it around the keeper. They're definitely up there as well.
In terms of a favourite manager, any manager stand out for you?
Andy Hesenthaler is a club legend because of his antics sort of off the pitch, in terms of the dugout and also in terms of him on the pitch. People sort of call him Mr. Gillingham, one of the greatest ever players, if not the greatest ever player. Martin Allen obviously gave us our first league title in 50 odd years. Great guy. And people probably be shocked to hear it, I quite like the current manager, Steve Evans. I know he's got a way about him. He's sort of tactical in what he says, what he does, but he's a winner. And as I say, he's always been great to me off the pitch as well in terms of the way he treats me and the way he helps me. So yeah, I quite like Steve Evans. I think he's the best manager we probably had in my time. And I'd probably go with him as my favourite as well, to be honest.
In terms of League One in general, which teams are standing out for you, would you say, this season?
I like Portsmouth. I think they've done quite well to start off with. I think they bought well in the summer. Obviously, Conor Ogilvy's gone there from Gillingham. Sunderland are obviously top at the minute. You'd expect them to be up there. Sheffield Wednesday as well. It's nice to see a rejuvenated Wigan too. I've been very impressed by Morecambe. Just looking at the table now, 14th in the table. So I think a lot of people sort of had them to come bottom. But I really thought they were impressive against us. I thought they've had a good start to the season. Obviously, they've lost Sam Lavelle at the back, which won't be great for them. Wimbledon, I was impressed with away as well. I think they'll be fine. But yeah, in terms of the top, you're going to have the big spenders. You're going to have Sunderland. You're going to have Sheffield Wednesday, Portsmouth. They'll be up there. And then hopefully one of the so-called smaller clubs like ourselves can sort of creep up there like Wycombe did a few years ago and sort of make a bid for promotion.
Next game for Gillingham in the league is away to Burton Albion next weekend. Difficult game that's going to be. How are you feeling though going into that one, even if it is just over a week away?
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling refreshed from a Gillingham fan point of view, we've obviously, like I say, had that weekend off. We're going to have this weekend off against Charlton, which obviously the game's been postponed. I think it was needed given our small squad, the amount of injuries we had. The squad got hit by COVID too. You can see sort of the players still sort of recovering from that. As I said earlier, I think the season starts now in terms of the transfer window closing. We've got our squad. We can get some players back. John Akinde's back in training. Alex McDonald's back in training. Dan Phillips, obviously, he's suspended now, but he's coming back from injury. It's not an ideal fixture. Obviously, we said earlier on how much harder it is to go away now. Burton are a good side, obviously under Jimmy Floyd, Hasselbank, and Dino as well. They've done really well to sort of go in there and sort of rejuvenate things, and I think they'll be up there this season. They recruited well as well. Tom O'Connor's there, who was at Gillingham previously. Jebison obviously has gone there on loan from Sheffield United, so I think they'll be up there. It'll be a really tough game, to be honest, but the tough games come thick and fast in this league. So like I say, you've got to find a way to win them.
And a prediction, please, for where you think Gillingham will finish in League One this season.
I'd like to see progress on last year. 2 10th place finishes in a row, 2 sort of goes at playoffs, but I think the squad's probably weaker. I think there's a bit less harmony off the field in terms of the ownership, and Steve Evans, in terms of what he's been saying of his relationship with Paul Scally and his frustrations with what's been made available to him. The squad is weaker, as I say. The division's harder. So I'll probably say, I think Steve Evans is a winner. It's not been a great start, but I think we can sort of get a mid-table finish, potentially sort of 12th to 14th. So I'll go bang in the middle and I'll go 13th.
Fair enough. Well, that's all we've got time for. Anyway, Lewis, well, thank you very much for joining me, and good luck to Gillingham for the rest of the season.
Thank you, Sam. Cheers.